The working class is pitted against the middle class, and the only one that, the only entity that benefits from that is the corporate elite. If they can keep us fighting over the breadcrumbs, it takes the focus off of the real issues that we need to be dealing with. A few minutes ago, we elected to give Boeing an $8 billion tax deduction recently, which may or may not have been a good idea. They responded by outsourcing jobs, and I recently heard that they're actually outsourcing an entire engineering department. I talked with a gentleman just the other day who's lost his job at Boeing, so I'm not sure that was such a great idea. But even so, we granted them an $8 billion tax deduction, and yet we haven't funded our schools. To me, that is symptomatic of a problem that I see, and a perception by the people I talk to that we're unfairly supporting and encouraging big business, ultra big business, but we're by doing that, we're shifting the burden of funding, funding our education, funding our basic necessities entirely onto small business. I do have a heart for the people. I totally recognize the reason why we would want to increase wages. As I talked earlier about the fact that, our dollar has lost its value, so, the power of the dollar is significantly less. I would like to discuss the $15 an hour minimum wage, because I think it illustrates very succinctly the difference between Republican policies and Democratic policies. It makes sense to me why there would be such a response. It makes sense to me why we might want to arbitrarily raise the minimum wage. It's a response to all of the issues that I've been previously talking about, including the devaluation of our dollar. But I think it's an improper response, because in the end, the business owners that I talk to, between Obamacare and a $15 an hour minimum wage, they're going to be closing doors. It would be great to make $15 an hour, but that's if you have a job. I think that what would be a better idea is if we can implement some policies that actually encourage business growth, and in turn the wages would organically increase as a consequence of natural economic factors. Simply put, as there's more and more jobs as a consequence of more and more healthy businesses, there's going to be competition for employees, and then those wages would organically rise. But that being said, I also think that the Republican Party needs to consider, we need some sort of a stopgap measure. So I don't know that I would be necessarily against a subtle wage increase. I'm in support of the idea of a training wage. Back when I had my business, I certainly would have enjoyed the opportunity of a training wage for the first 3 to 6 months. And kids that are 16 to 18, they're limited as to the responsibilities that they can have anyway, and of course their skills are a little bit less. So I think that it makes sense to offer them a training wage so they can get their first, they can get their foot on that first rung of the ladder. So I think it makes sense all the way around. I have a philosophy that basically, all parties need to come to the table. We need to be open and discuss. We need to stop labeling one another, because that stops the communication in its tracks. And we need to come together as people, left, right, no matter your political ideation, and come together, the working class with the middle class, to come up with solutions that benefit us all. We currently have a environment where the working class is pitted against the middle class, and the only one that, the only entity that benefits from that is the corporate elite. If they can keep us fighting over the breadcrumbs, it takes the focus off of the real issues that we need to be dealing with.